नमस्कार, यहाँलाई कार्यक्रम इन्फो टकमा स्वागत छ। दर्शक, एक सातापछि हामी उपस्थित भएका छौँ। यो कार्यक्रम मार्फत हामीले धेरै व्यक्ति र विषयसँग कुराकानी प्रसारण गरिसकेका छौँ। आजको कार्यक्रममा हामीले नेपाल भारत सम्बन्ध, त्यसैगरी नेपालबाट हामीले पाएको तथ्याङ्क अनुसार हजारौँको सङ्ख्यामा नेपाली विद्यार्थीहरू भारत गइरहेका छन् अध्ययनका लागि र पछिल्लो समयमा भारतले शिक्षा क्षेत्रमा जुन खालको प्रगति हासिल गरेको छ, यसले अरू डेभलप कन्ट्रीबाट सिकेको पाठ र नेपाली विद्यार्थीहरूले त्यहाँ अध्ययन गरिसकेपछि त्यो डिग्री जसरी संसारभर बिकेको छ, त्यसले नेपालको लागि पनि एउटा उदाहरण बनेको छ। भारतका शिक्षण संस्था र पछिल्लो समयमा अहिले यतिखेर कुरा गर्ने हो भने नेपालबाट भारत जाने विद्यार्थीहरू विशेष गरी एसएलसीको परीक्षा पास भइसकेपछि 11 र 12 तह, त्यसै गरी 11 र 12 तहको परीक्षापछि नेसनल लेभलमा जाने विद्यार्थीहरू अत्यन्तै धेरै छन्। र अर्को नेपालको पछिल्लो क्रिटिकल सन्दर्भ पनि हामीले जोड्नुपर्ने हुन्छ। दर्शक, हामीले नेपाल भारतको सम्बन्ध कुरा गर्ने हो भने पछिल्लो समयमा हामीले शिक्षा क्षेत्रबाट पनि कुरा उठाउन आवश्यक छ। र केही समय अगाडि नेपाली विद्यार्थीहरू भारतको विरुद्धमा भारतले गरेका विभिन्न काम र त्यसले नेपाली विद्यार्थीहरू, नेपाल आम अभिभावक र समग्र नेपालीहरूको हित विपरीत भयो भनेर उनीहरू समेत सडकमा परिचालित भएको अवस्था थियो। यो सन्दर्भमा हामीले शिक्षा क्षेत्रबाट दुई देशको सम्बन्ध कसरी सुधार्नुपर्छ, यो पनि आजको कार्यक्रमको मूल विषय हो। दर्शक, आजको कार्यक्रममा हामीले कुराकानी गर्नको लागि एक विशेष अतिथिलाई बोलाइसकेका छौँ। म उहाँलाई कार्यक्रममा स्वागत गर्छु। फर्स्ट अफ अल, यु आर वेलकम टु अडियन्स। टुडे वी have a special guest from India, and he was former cabinet minister for 10 years, and now he is the chancellor of Mansour University. You are welcome to this.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Welcome to Nepal as well.
Thank you. It's my pleasure that I have been to this great country. This is my 4th or 5th visit to this country. I am being invited by Indo Nepal Maitri Sangh. Always I've been meeting people, and I get another opportunity through you to talk to the students.
Okay. How do you see the bilateral relationship, or like in person-to-person relationship between Indian people and Nepali people? How do you see?
Look, what different do we have? Everything in common between these two countries.
Okay.
Our religion is common. Language is very close. We understand each other's language. I may not be able to speak Nepali, but then I am able to speak Hindi. I am able to understand it. And any Nepali may not speak Hindi, but would understand my language. So culturally we are closer. Religion-wise we are closer. Climatically we are closer, and we have the kind of difficulties, the economic difficulties. If you have around 25% of population below poverty line, that too India has. So our challenges are common. That's why I look, and then our relationship is age old. It doesn't depend on the events that may happen in our contemporary history in the recent past. But ours is an age-old history, age-old relationship, and that shall always continue to remain.
Okay, but again, Chancellor, if you just look back the situation of last 1 year, don't you think that there is some kind of problems in between two countries?
Yes, I accept there are problems. Okay. There are problems, but that I said, our opportunities and challenges are common. Okay. Our difficulties are common. Our strategies to address them are common.
Okay.
So, in any two of the countries, such things do arise, such events do arise when the relationship at some point of time go little down. Okay. But I am confident this would not last for long. You would understand us and we would understand you. If some political mistakes have been done at any level, they would be corrected, because neither India can ignore Nepal nor Nepal can ignore India. We will have to swim and sink together.
When we are talking about the problems about the relationship of two countries, there is nothing happened if we talk about the relationship of people to people, isn't it? There might be some kind of problem in political level, isn't it? We can't interpret in that way.
That's what I said. We are two democracies, and everywhere the parties would keep on changing. So there could be some, I think our government of India, who are there in the power today, they were new to the situation. They had just taken over. So there could be some misunderstanding at some level. I do not know much about it, but there could be some misunderstanding at some level. But what is important to me and you is we cannot ignore each other.
Okay.
We have strategic relationships, we have cultural relationships, and we'll have to go together.
Okay. Now let me take you back to your situation in your country, especially you became cabinet minister as well, and you have like you are so much interested to do something in education sector. When you became cabinet minister in Madhya Pradesh, isn't it?
Yes.
So what did you do and what attracted you to be into education?
See, one thing will everybody would accept.
Okay.
If there are problems in a society, if there are problems in a country, they could be addressed only through education. And then I knew in my own country, the problem was lack of education. The problem was lack of quality education.
We have similar problem at the moment.
I know it. There are the similar problems. So I thought I should devote my time of public life, my experience of public life to further education, to develop it in my area, my town, my state, my country, and that's what we did. As minister, I tried my best to improve the quality of education. As minister, I tried to open up the what you call liberalization in economic policies terms. I liberalized my educational institutions. I gave them full authority to run their institutions.
Okay.
And the problems that happen in the governmental setup, you can imagine it. I mean, we have same kind of setup.
Exactly.
So I tried my best to bring them out of that circle, empowered them with all their powers to run their institutions and achieve a better quality standard.
This replicates in the context of Nepal as well. There is of course, a problem, to come out of the box, thinking differently.
Right.
How did you make it happen, in your
See what happened. I tell you, the problem with both of us is
Yes.
we have inherited a particular kind of education system, and we are both pursuing the same kind of education system. The problem is the present education system of India and Nepal, it does not give confidence to the youth that he would get a job after doing a degree.
Yes.
Unless, what for is he pursuing his education? He is pursuing his education so that he could settle himself, he could settle his family, and he could contribute something to the society.
Exactly.
It is not happening in case of India and in case of Nepal. So what is required to be done is, the time has changed, the technology has changed. I think it is required that we change our education system to the requirements of present times, to give youth the confidence, to make him employable, to give him skills so that he could, after passing out from college, goes to the youth employment market and gets a job instantly. Unless both our education systems are able to give this confidence to the youth, he would not have confidence in our education system, and that's what I think I tried to do in my country, in my state, and it brought a change to great extent.
Okay, actually, you set up the institution which is now 48 years old, isn't it?
My first institution was 48 years old.
Okay.
My father set it up in a very small town because he knew it. In that small town, the poverty, if it is the problem, then the solution is education.
Okay.
And then he set up it. I inherited from him, and I'm pursuing his course.
Okay, now you are the chancellor of the university.
No, sorry, university.
So what are you trying to do or trying to implement in your university? Because
Two
you
important
have 48
things.
years
Yes,
experience.
right, you are. And as I said, the present system of education does not give confidence to the youth and does not make him employable. I give
only
it.
certificates to these
You give only certificates. You give the qualification, not the skill.
Exactly.
So what you are required to do? We said our mantra is two-way. One, bring industry to the institution.
Okay.
Bring institute and take student to the laboratory.
Okay.
Don't train him in classroom.
Okay.
Train him in laboratory. And what is required to be trained? Ask the industry what is it required for.
Okay.
We want to produce a manpower which may be instantly required by industry. They may not have to retrain him after doing their degree. That is what is happening in Nepal. That is what is happening in India. A youth passes out from, he obtains a degree, and then the industry trains him.
Yes.
So no, it is not required. No, I think it's a very small class. It is creating a digital divide within the country. There is a class of student who's going to America because he can afford it.
Exactly.
He can afford it, and probably after doing a degree or post graduation, he may stay there for his own career, because the kind of money that he gets in America or Australia, he doesn't get here in Nepal.
Yes.
So, but how does he help his own country? My education should be like that. He's able to help himself, he's able to help his family, and simultaneously he's able to help his country as well. So that is what is required out of education. Why should a society teach a youth? So that in turn he would also contribute something to develop that society. I think that is very much required. And when a good number of students are going to, yes, they have very good standard of education, I would admit it, but I think what is required is a youth trained to develop his family and the country. You need to give him a kind of a training which is required in Nepal, which is required in India. I think in a developed Western country, the kind of education that he gets, it doesn't help him in developing his own country. The only thing that I said is, that otherwise I said, is you learn something which may help you in your own country.
Okay.
You learn in an environment which may help you in your own country. When he goes to India, he is not out of Nepal. He is not out of that. I mean, wherever you go, I stayed for 10 years in Bhopal, and believe me, there is a huge Nepali society there. Huge Nepali society. He is not isolated.
Exactly.
And every time he is aware of it, that he is a Nepalese, and he has ultimately to work for his own country and society. So the difference elsewhere in India is this, that when a student goes to from Nepal to India, he works in the same environment that he's supposed to work after his graduation. What is my suggestion to him? My suggestion to him is, please do not go by names. Please do not go by advertisements. After all, we also have a substantial part of private education, and there are a good number of players who are going the commercial way of doing it. Decide yourselves what is required for you, what is good for you, and I say the only thing that is good for you is, whenever you are able to obtain a degree, you become employable. And how do you become an employable? You become an employable by what you have been taught. Once you have been taught what industry expects from you, I think you become employable. So always see in an institution, what do they teach? How do they teach? It is only the degree, or it is giving you a power to think and then act. That's what Einstein said. Education is not only to cram the statistics. It should give you the power to think. There are two things. One, I would be visiting a few colleges and addressing students. One of the colleges whom I am going to visit tomorrow, they have given me a subject opportunity and challenges to the students in the education system. That's what I am going to talk to them. And it is not only that I am going to give my experience to them, I am going to learn from them. I have Nepal, Indo-Nepal Human Rights Association
Yes.
and Friendship Association, they have regularly been giving me an opportunity to.
In nutshell, what do you say about that opportunity and challenge particular work?
I would say two ways. What does a Nepali youth think about himself, about his career, one, and why have our relationship gone down little way
Especially
before I came
this
before I
particular
came
one.
last time,
Yes.
and I feel education is the best tool to bridge the gap and to prepare and to build our relationships. So I must understand as an educationist, I must understand what does Nepali youth thinks about himself and about his country. I must tune myself according to his expectations.
So what's your message to all the Nepalese viewers who are watching your Nepali television?
My suggestion to all your viewers would be, education is the only way. Both our countries had 25% population below poverty line. Both our countries have education as the biggest challenge. Both our countries are suffering from the lack of quality of education. So, one thing, let's understand, education is the only tool to develop a person and the society and the country. You would be able to develop Nepal only through education, and you would be able to develop your relationships with your neighboring countries only through education. So please promote education, please promote quality education, and let's join together to achieve this, achieve the expectations of youth of our both countries.
Thank you so much, Chancellor. Thank you so much for your valuable time and information that you have given to my viewers.
I'm very much grateful to you for having given me this opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
दर्शकबिन आजको कार्यक्रममा हामीले विशेष कुराकानी गर्यौँ यहाँहरू समक्ष नेपाल भारत सम्बन्ध, त्यसै गरी शिक्षाको स्तर अनि भारतबाट हामीले सिक्नुपर्ने पाठ, नेपाली युवाहरूले के सोच्छन् र उनीहरूको करियर गाइडेन्समा शिक्षाले कसरी ब्रिजको काम गर्छ भन्ने कुरा पनि हामीले आजको कार्यक्रममा गर्यौँ। यो कुराकानी यहाँहरूलाई कस्तो लाग्यो हामीलाई फिडब्याक्स पठाउन नभुल्नुहोला। आगामी कार्यक्रममा अर्को व्यक्ति र विषयको साथमा हामी पुनः उपस्थित हुनेछौँ। तबसम्मको लागि सम्पूर्ण युनिट सहित मलाई समेत आजको यो एपिसोडबाट बिदा दिनुहोस्। नमस्कार।